As Obscure Characters Month continues, we're going back in time and across the water to take a look at some of the earliest Japanese-exclusive Transformers. In 1987, Hasbro introduced the Targetmasters into the Transformers toy line, robots who came with small partner figures that transformed into guns for them to wield. There were 6 brand new figures, 3 Autobots and 3 Decepticons, and 5 re-released figures from the 1986 toy line: Hot Rod, Cup, Blur, Cyclonus, and Scourge. Hasbro's Japanese partner Takara opted not to release these 5 figures in their markets. Instead, they created 2 exclusive new Autobot Targetmasters by recoloring older toys. ARTFIRE, a patient sniper whose tendency to put the safety of others first sometimes led to him disobeying orders, a recolor of the 1985 Autobot fire engine Inferno. And Stepper, the Autobot's best marksman with a quick temper and a strong sense of justice, a recolor of the 1984 Autobot Porsche Jazz. The two were paired with the Targetmaster partners that, in Hasbro markets, belonged to Cyclonus and Scourge, but with their names switched. ARTFIRE came with Scourge's partner Fracas, now renamed Nightstick, while Stepper came with Cyclonus's partner Nightstick, now renamed Nebulon, a little naming quirk that resulted from Fracas being referred to only as the Nebulon in the bio printed on Scourge's packaging. Owing to the small size of the toy's hands, Stepper couldn't hold Nebulon in his fist like the other Targetmasters. Instead, he came with a special bracket that plugged into his back and allowed Nebulon to mount on his shoulder. Stepper and ARTFIRE were not featured alongside the other Targetmasters when they appeared in the Japanese-exclusive animated series The Headmasters. But the pair did appear in the tie-in Headmasters manga, helping Chrome Dome to fight fires set by the Decepticon Targetmasters. But a question remained. In the cartoon, the Targetmasters were created when small robots from a Cybertronian colony on the planet Master were fused to larger Transformers in a plasma energy explosion. As Stepper and ARTFIRE weren't involved in that explosion, how did they become Targetmasters? We wouldn't get an answer until 2004, when Takara reissued Stepper's toy. This version of the figure came with all of Jazz's accessories, which the original release had lacked, and was retooled so that Nebulon could fit in its hand, and it included a new, expanded profile that revealed Stepper's origin. It turned out that Stepper had been badly damaged in an unspecified incident and had been saved when Nebulon volunteered to bond with him, becoming his symbiotic life support system. The same year, in sync with Takara, Hasbro released the Stepper toy in their markets for the first time, as part of their commemorative series of reissues. For this release, Nebulon's name was changed back to Nightstick, and Stepper was given an English market name for the first time: Ricochet. Now, this wasn't a brand new name. Ricochet had previously been used all the way back in 1988 as the name of one of the Targetmaster partners of the Autobot Quick Mix, and in the 2000s Hasbro was in the habit of reusing names on totally different and unrelated characters, and as such, a third Ricochet would be introduced in 2005, an egotistical Autobot master of espionage released exclusively at the official Transformers convention, BotCon. But from 2006 onwards, the name would become permanently associated with the hot-tempered Targetmaster, as more and more new toys of the character were released, both by Hasbro in Transformers Alternators, Robot Heroes, and Power of the Primes, and by Takara in Transformers United and Adventure, each one usually a recolor of their respective series' Jazz figure. But despite having a fair few toys, Ricochet has never been given much of anything to do in Transformers media. He appeared for exactly 1 panel each in both Dreamwave Productions and IDW Publishing's comic books. Dreamwave depicted him as a clone of Jazz created by Shockwave, while IDW featured him as one of many guards at the Autobot prison Garrus 9. Even in his native Japan, his only significant appearance has been in a short one-shot manga promoting the release of his United toy, in which he led a team in procuring an antidote for a nanovirus that had infected the Autobots. He did make his first ever television appearance in 2017, but it was only as a barely visible cameo in an episode of the Robots in Disguise cartoon. Surprisingly, Ricochet's biggest role has been in the mirror universe of Shattered Glass, told via stories released through BotCon and the Transformers Collectors Club. In this twisted universe where Autobots are evil and Decepticons are good, two different mirror versions of the character existed, one named Ricochet and another named Stepper. Ricochet was a retool and recolor of the Transformers Cybertron Crosswise toy, released exclusively at BotCon 2008, alongside his twin brother, Jazz. The brothers were created by Optimus Prime to serve as his bodyguards, a prized position that the wild and dangerous Ricochet sought to keep by any means, making him quick to betray or kill anyone who he thought was in danger of taking it from him. Always seeking to make himself look good in Prime's eyes, Ricochet was responsible for developing Targetmaster technology, and used his new firepower to defeat and capture Megatron. Unfortunately for Ricochet, Optimus Prime was furious to learn that he had dared to make a move against the Decepticon leader without his permission, and he had Ricochet tortured for his impudence. Stepper was a recolor of the United figure, released exclusively at BotCon 2015. This timid and mentally unstable Autobot was envious of Ricochet's Targetmaster partner Nightstick, and built his own, a lifeless drone named Nebulon, which he controlled like a ventriloquist's dummy, pretending as if the little robot was actually the one in charge in their partnership. Stepper later found himself transported across the multiverse to the city of Axiom Nexus on a Cybertron that was home to many lost dimensional travelers. There, he met an actual living version of Nebulon from an alternate universe, who really did take charge of him, manipulating the meek Autobot into doing what he wanted. Ricochet and ARTFIRE are both great examples of characters whose cult favourite status is due really just to them being Japanese exclusive toys, which made them exciting and highly prized to a young fandom in the 1990s that was still learning about the different forms the franchise took across the world. Ricochet's been a good bit luckier than his buddy. ARTFIRE has never been released in Hasbro markets in any form, with his only new figures coming in Takara's United and Masterpiece toy lines. And there's still never been any explanation offered for how he became a Targetmaster. All obscure Transformers are created equal, but Ricochet and ARTFIRE prove that some are more obscure than others. And those are the basics on Ricochet and ARTFIRE. Leave a comment below if you've got a soft spot for these Targetmaster teammates. Make sure to like and subscribe for more Transformers history and lore as Obscure Characters Month continues. And if you enjoy, please consider supporting the series on Patreon.